Hello, my name is Robert Nordlund. I want to thank the Board of Directors for choosing Association Reserves to prepare a with-site visit reserve study update for your association. In a with-site visit reserve study update, we update a prior credible reserve study based on a diligent visual site inspection. In this professional level of service, our field work is focused on evaluating the condition of the components, because the big project of identifying and quantifying all your reserve components has already been done. Even so, we take this opportunity to double-check the component list to make sure it's still reliable, perhaps spot-checking a few measurements or adding or deleting a component or two. A credible reserve component list means all the appropriate repair and replacement projects are accounted for on the basis of a 4-part test that was established as part of national reserve study standards. In a with-site visit update, the component information is updated by a combination of our site inspection observations and the follow-up research we perform afterwards. A with-site visit reserve study update is an appropriate level of service after a full reserve study has been done, and often in between 1 or more years of no site visit updates. A with-site visit update is often a good idea when your component list is long or complex, or in the years when you're approaching 1 or more significant reserve projects. All of our reports are prepared in accordance with National Reserve Study standards, and the component list serves as the foundation of every reserve study. It's on the basis of this updated component list that we calculate your current reserve fund strength. I'll be discussing that calculation later. The third and final result is a custom funding plan that complies with these 4 reserve funding principles. In the next 3 minutes, I'll be walking you through a sample with-site visit report to help you better understand the reserve study update that you've recently received for your association. You may find it helpful to have a copy of your report handy.
The cover page contains a nice photo of your property, as well as details about the report period. Although your study contains a 30-year projection, our reserve study findings and recommendations are limited to a 1-year period corresponding to your association's fiscal year end. Now let's jump to the 3-minute executive summary. The executive summary is designed to summarize the 3 key results of our report. These findings are as of the first day of your association's fiscal year. Your association's projected starting reserve balance is shown here. Below that is the calculated value of common area deterioration, known as your fully funded reserve balance. The ratio of the starting balance to the fully funded balance is called percent funded, and is the standard measure of an association's reserve fund strength. Your association's percent funded is shown in the progress bar below. Your funding plan, which consists of a recommended budgeted reserve contribution and, as necessary, a special assessment, is strongly influenced by the association's percent funded. As such, an association's percent funded is very important, and we'll be discussing its implications later in this video. You may want to make note of that number now. You can compare our recommended full funding contribution to your most recent reserve contribution rate, which is listed right below the gray box, to see how much of a change we're recommending. Another comparison to note is the alternate contribution rate, the amount of reserve contributions necessary to just barely keep the reserve fund above 0. It's usually not much less than your full funding contributions. Recommendations for special assessments are only made as a last resort when there are pressing reserve projects and not enough time to collect sufficient funds through normal budgeted contributions. The third and final key result of a reserve study is the component list. You'll find that on the next page in Table 1. The component list outlines the scope and schedule of all the repair and replacement projects, with specific information regarding each project's useful life, remaining useful life, and current replacement cost. Line items that are highlighted in yellow are projects where the remaining useful life has reached 0, meaning that item is already scheduled to be replaced within the initial year of the study.
I hope this has been helpful in explaining the 3 key results of your reserve study: the funding plan, reserve fund strength, and the component list. They're all found in your executive summary, and that's the heart of the report and a lot of information to digest. If you'd like to learn more about the figures and tables contained in your reserve study, you can watch the next video in the series. If your association is underfunded, that is, the association's percent funded is in the 0 to 70% range, or if it contained a recommendation for a special assessment, just follow the link to the video. If you have further questions, we encourage you to visit our Learning Center where you'll find a rich library of written and videotaped resources. Finally, if you have any feedback, please follow the link to a short survey. On behalf of the entire Association Reserves team, thank you again for choosing Association Reserves as your reserve planning partner. It's been our pleasure to work with your association to assemble this information so informed budget decisions can be made and accurate disclosures provided to your current and prospective members. We look forward to working with you again the next time we update your association's reserve study.